Let's talk about something controversial today. I'm not listening to a fat coach or a fat therapist or an overweight pastor. You can just kind of be fat and still guide people. No, you can't. What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm staring across from someone who looks like they take no care of themselves. Automatically, I respect them less. I get lumped in with a bunch of 20-year-old girls who couldn't coach their way out of a wet paper bag. And I've been doing this for 15 years at a level of mastery that most coaches are never going to get to. And I'm okay if that sounds ignorant, if I'm just being frank. Let's talk about something controversial today. Out of shape pastors, trainers, coaches, psychologists, psychiatrists, anyone who is helping someone live their best life inside of personal development and or a strategy piece of a full personal development journey. I have a hot take on this, but especially in today's modern culture, I'm not listening to a fat coach or a fat therapist or an overweight pastor. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. I know that's offensive, but the truth is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it's one thing if these people are being very open and accountable towards these things. And I don't think that people have to be perfect to lead people. I'm certainly not perfect. I'm very flawed. However, I think it's this acceptance culture that will just tell personal trainers, particularly because that's my field of expertise, and or coaches, it's okay. You can just kind of be fat and still guide people. No, you can't. What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. And that doesn't mean that you have to be Instagram shredded, six-pack abs. I've talked about that a lot. That's not optimal health. Optimal health is found in a bell curve. And so when you're too overweight, you're not in optimal health. You get into a range that probably has like a 20-pound range for most people, even some men, maybe even 30-pound range, where you have this kind of bell curve where your body fat, it can vary, but your blood work's going to be very good. You're going to be able to perform mentally. You're not shredded six-pack. And then on the downside, that's where all of a sudden that shredded six-pack starts to come into play. And so you can kind of see optimal health isn't found on either side of the bell curve. It's found in the middle. And I think when we allow extremes to become the norm, which is what we've done, there's like this whole counterculture to the lean, always be in shape type coaches and trainers, where it's like they're using massive amounts of PEDs, peptides, and they're living lifestyles that most adults are not going to be able to live, and have these weird routines and just put all of their focus into how they look because they get paid to do so by proxy or by definition. And or there's a counterculture to that because people don't feel like that's achievable. So it's kind of like, we accept everyone, it's okay. Listen, if you're really struggling with your eating and trying to lead people through a journey of having less struggle inside their eating, it's not going to be translated very well. We've forgotten to look with our eyes and see with the gift of our eyes. And so when I look at someone who is leading someone and they're severely obese, it's like, I know all the behaviors that go into causing that. I know the mindset that has to be behind that driver's wheel to be driving that body towards that. And it's probably not a place where most people should be following that person. And again, I know that we really don't like when I talk about this because there's a lot of trainers and coaches who have just decided because they like fitness, they worked out once or twice, they did okay at a show and had a terrible reverse diet, that they're going to be a coach. And I get it. There's no barrier to entry. And I want everyone who has a passion to help people stepping up to the plate because there's so many people to help. But I think you have to earn your stripes, right? I think that if you haven't really spent the time to develop yourself in a way that you could actually confidently lead people, I think you're doing them a disservice. And admittedly, there's a little bit of annoyance on my part because I get lumped in with a bunch of 20-year-old girls who couldn't coach their way out of a wet paper bag. And I've been doing this for 15 years at a level of mastery that most coaches are never going to get to. And I'm okay if that sounds ignorant, if I'm just being frank. I really am. Because I can see the reality in my sphere, in my space, clear as day. And it's hard because people will come into my program and they're like, wow, this is so amazing. I didn't realize coaching could be like this, whatever it is. And the trust has been so broken from our industry. The trust has been so eroded with the clients. I know I've had many clients who have paid for 6 months of coaching and received like literally nothing, like not a reply back. That's wild. That's the ethos we're living in. And so when trainers get really frustrated that like, oh, it's hard to gain trust, it's hard to get clients, it's like, how could you blame them? How could you blame them? We haven't led very well. And part of this is this nonsense of giving people jobs that really haven't earned those jobs. And, you probably should have accomplished something in your own journey and or been able to produce results with a few other people before just worrying about scaling a coaching business or scaling a mentorship business. Therapists, same thing. Psychiatrists, same thing. If I'm going in because my mindset is not as dialed in as I would love it, and I have some underlying mental model problems that I'm trying to sort through, and I'm staring across from someone who looks like they take no care of themselves, automatically I respect them less. That's just a biological fact. It's how we see the world. You can't get around it as a human. It doesn't mean they're not valuable. It does not mean that they can't have solutions. Two things can be true at once. And we like to live in this black and white version of the world because it's simple. But the world is not simple, right? And so, to me, just be careful who you're leading you. I think that there's a time and a place to put yourself out there and decide that, you want to either become a coach or have a coach. Do your due diligence on either end of that. It's like, has this person led a bunch of other people and or themselves? And if I'm the person thinking about becoming a leader, have I led a bunch of people and or myself? If you can answer those questions confidently, I think that your coaching relationships will improve. And so don't be one of those coaches who's out of shape and telling everyone it's okay. Get yourself in shape. You'll be much more proud of yourself. You'll actually be able to get clients, and then you won't have to worry about trying to pander and posture on the internet for some attention. I hope that video helped, just clear up some of the nonsense that I see around this topic. And I would love you to like, subscribe, share these videos. It would mean a lot to me. And thanks for listening.